Hello, seventh grade Bobcats. Mr. Flato here. Welcome back to the last day of first quarter. That went fast. Hope everybody is working hard to finish the quarter strong. And a reminder starting Monday, fresh slate, clean slate. For some of you, that'll be a welcoming thing. One thing I've been telling kids is it's easier to stay caught up than get caught up on missing work. This year has provided its own challenges. Most definitely, let's work to overcome those, persevere through it, and stay caught up. On today's Bob lesson, talking about investment and what is investment. Investment is sacrificing in the short term for long-term gain. And I think that that's a concept that sometimes is hard for young people and old people alike to really figure out. So many people live in the here and now. So many people live, and especially your guys' generation that had these things in technology and everything right at your fingertips. You're used to getting things you want right now. That's different than it was in other generations. So you guys have kind of been trained instant gratification, get things right now, get your needs met right now, where there's this whole idea out there of sacrificing and investing for future things. And that's a very important concept. Hoping everybody can wrap their mind around. If you think about what it is that we're doing in school, why is it that we get up and come a couple days a week, or we get up and we get on our stuff? It's making that investment in yourself so that when you get to be an adult for the rest of your life, you can reap the benefits of the investment you made right now. So hope you guys enjoy this lesson. Hope you guys had a great first quarter, made the most of it, and miss seeing all you DLI kids in person. Stop in, say hi to me sometime on Microsoft Teams. Hope you enjoy the video.
All right, as I mentioned, this week's Bob lesson is going to be titled The Smartest Investment. But first, let's be our best at HMS this week. Let's be safe, let's be responsible, let's be respectful, and let's be a learner. All right, let's start this Bob lesson by me asking you a question. Let's pretend you come across $5. Maybe you get it from a parent or a guardian. Maybe you go out and earn it. I don't care really how you got it, but you have $5 and it is in your pocket at this very moment. Let me ask you something. What would you do with it? Maybe you'd go and spend it at Frozen Moose, like I know a lot of you like to do after school, and get some ice cream. I love Frozen Moose. I love the strawberry cheesecake bites and okay, I can't talk about this right now. Maybe spend it at Town Pump on your walk home. Maybe you get some candy and a Coke or a Mountain Dew, or maybe buy some mint melt-aways that I love so much from a Pier selling chocolate right now. Or what about putting it in the piggy bank and not touching it for, let's say, a month, or saving it for next year, or maybe even saving it for 10 years from now? I suspect this last option doesn't appeal to too many of you. The difference between the first few spending options, going to Frozen Moose, buying mint melt-aways, maybe going up to Town Pump, and the last, which is putting in the piggy bank and saving it, highlights something very, very, very important in life called delayed gratification. Delayed gratification refers to the ability to put something mildly fun, like enjoying those mint melt-aways, or Town Pump, or the Frozen Moose, in order to gain something that is more fun and more pleasurable or more rewarding at a later time. Let me give you an example of this. For example, you could watch TV the night before an exam instead of studying. Maybe your favorite show is on a Tuesday night and you got an exam in science class on Wednesday. Or you could not watch your show. You could practice delayed gratification, study for the exam, be Bob, be responsible, do the right thing, do really well on the test, DVR your favorite show, and enjoy it the next night. You get the best of both worlds, and it's even more fulfilling. As adults, most of us do this with money every month. It's called saving for retirement. Also, you might hear your parents or guardians talk about their 401k. That's another fancy word for it. How this works is we take money that we earn working every month, and we take a certain percentage, sometimes anywhere between 5 to 15%. 15 is a little on the higher end, 5 might be a little on the lower end, and we invest it for the future. We take that money, we invest in the stock market, so that one day, after 30 years of working in a career, or 25 or 40 or however long you want to work, you have money saved up so you can retire. Let me show you how this kind of works. In the stock market, let's look at this graph on the left. We invest our money in the stock market as adults, or we invest it in other business ventures or other things. And instead of taking that money and spending it right now, we invest it and we decide we're not going to touch it for 30, 35, 40 years. And as this money is invested, the money grows in value. If you look at this is a typical stock market data chart showing the value of something, and hopefully what starts out as a little minimal investment and we keep adding to it every month, by the time we go to retire, we have a whole lot of money waiting for us so that we can just vacation or travel, or maybe buy a home in Phoenix, or just not work and enjoy our life when we get to be a little bit older. Well, this takes delayed gratification. That 5 to 15%, which could come out to several $100s that we could be spending now on frozen moose, or on vacations, or new clothes, or maybe a fancy car, or whatever it is that people like to spend that money on, we don't get to spend that now. We practice delayed gratification so that in time that money is worth a whole lot more. That I learned in my studies once upon a time. Let's say that you put yourself in that position where you're 18, 20, 25, and you're working your first job. There's a statistic out there that says, based on like a 5% return using compound interest, that for every dollar you invest in your early 20s, by the time you go to retire, it's going to be worth $20. So if you follow this flow chart, maybe after 5 years that dollar is now worth $5. Maybe after 15 years, that $5 is now worth $10. And after 30 years, that $10 is now worth $20. So I'm trying to think of something that costs $1. Maybe a soda pop at Town Pump. If you can restrain from having that soda at Town Pump right now, and you in turn invest that money in 30 years, you can have 20 soda pops. And that's kind of how investing works. Now, what does this have to do with you guys? I know that you guys aren't investing money right now. I get that you guys are a little ways away from being in the real world, but I wanted to give you an example of how this may look for you, because I wanted to show you that as adults, this is what we do, many of us do, and as kids in middle school, there's a different kind of investment I want to talk about today. So let me ask you a second question. Which would you rather have? If I told you you could have 5 to 7 years of happiness or 60 years of happiness, which would you choose? Now, this isn't a hard question. I'm sure that the majority of you, or hopefully all of you, would choose, well, Mr. Flato, that's a silly question. I would rather have 60 years of happiness. Okay, well, let me put this in terms that you guys can understand. For many of you, you guys are making an investment right now. It's called investing in your education. It's called coming to school every day and working hard. And for many of you, 6th graders through 8th graders, you only have 5 to 7 more years of this to go. And if you put in the time now and you buckle down and you invest in coming to school when you don't feel your best, working hard when you would rather be playing video games or hanging out with your friends at night, buckling down, putting in the time now, investing your time and your energy into your academics and your gaining of knowledge right now, that's going to set you up very nice for the next 60 years of your life. And that 60 years of your life may start when you're 18, it may start when you're 22, it may start when you're 25. It's going to start one of those years, and you're going to be faced with the reality that now I am an adult living in the real world. Some of you are wasting these years right now. Some of you aren't doing your homework. You're showing up to school, maybe getting asked to leave class if you're not being Bob. And I know that as a 11 through 14-year-old, it's probably fun. It's probably more fun to go hanging out with your friends and not doing your homework. And maybe these next 5 to 7 years, that's what you want life to be. But you can't have both. You can't have not doing homework, not being Bob for these next 5 to 7 years, being lazy, and then have a great 60 years after that, because you're probably not going to have a great 60 years after that when the real world kicks in. For many of you that show up every day and you are Bob and you're doing the right thing, you're working hard, you're studying hard, you're being respectful, you're being responsible, you're being safe, and you're being a learner, this 5 to 7 year investment, maybe for some of you another 2, another 4, another 6 years after that, is going to pay off in huge investment dividends. So something to think about right now. That leads us to this week's quote of the week, another one by Warren Buffett, and this is kind of where I got the title of this Bob lesson. The best investment you can make is in yourself. Something to think about when you come to school every day. When you're working hard and you're being Bob, you are investing in yourself because you're investing in putting yourself in a great situation